This is West of Everest. I am Lee Benson. He is Grant Benson. And welcome to episode 400 of the little podcast that was launched in August of 2017. Coming up on the show, I'll give you my thoughts on OU's game against Kent State. John Mateer, will he or won't he play against Texas on Saturday? Well, the SEC availability report is out there. You guys have already seen it. You've heard he's questionable on Wednesday night. We'll dive into that and everything else going around with John Mateer. And, whether Mateer plays or doesn't play, the most important thing that we all want to know is, will Oklahoma beat Texas? Well, let's try to answer that question here in less than a couple of hours. Also, got to say thank you to my friend Brady Trantham for filling in on the last episode, filling in for me. And Grant, apparently every time I'm gone and Brady fills in, it's required for half the show to be you guys talking about Texas. And I can't seem to figure out why.
I would tell you, Texas vis-a-vis Oklahoma is interesting. This is college football. Rivalries are a big part of it. And I don't know. I care about Texas, especially when they suck. And you know what? Texas cares about Oklahoma too. That's how the sport is. I know you don't really subscribe to that part of the sport, but it's what makes it great. It's what makes it a lot better than the NFL, because that doesn't exist in the NFL.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does.
But not in a real way, actually, though. It's all stupid. Like the Vikings and the Packers, that's the big NFL rivalry that I'm close to.
Like a lot of these guys, like a lot of these people, I mean, Bears, Packers is huge. A lot of these people don't follow college football. So like this is their version of the big rivalry, which is weird to us because we like both.
The NFL, the rivalries, they play twice a year. That's lame, and it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter.
There's a lot of crazy people that care way too much about that stuff. I don't really care that much about it in the NFL either.
The NFL regular season doesn't really matter that much. It doesn't really matter.
You got to make the playoffs. I think it matters. I think I'd either be the greatest head coach ever. I'd either be the greatest head coach ever or the worst, because I'd play lip service to some of the things you got to when it comes to this, but man, I'd be like, guys, let's just go win the game and move on to the next game. Let's go. Like it's another game, especially now whenever Oklahoma's schedule is so hard. They play so many other hard games after this game.
All of history suggests that it's not just another game, though. It's just isn't. I mean, it's just not another game.
I don't know, man. This is not OU Texas.
It is OU. I mean, we are talking about OU Texas. OU Texas, specifically, it is the most unique setting in all of American sports. It's and so that makes it weird. And it's just for whatever reason it is. And we're going to talk about it. Texas plays over their head in this game, or at least they have in the last 13 years. OU very rarely plays over their head if it's not the years 2000 through 2004. So I don't know. It's weird. Rivalries are weird, and OU Texas is honestly the weirdest of them all. It has the most variation of result. I'm trying to think of other Georgia, Florida. The best team always wins that game. I'm trying to think of other games. I don't know.
I mean, you're saying this, but have you even looked into it? I mean, you don't know that. There's so many college football games, man. Auburn and Alabama. There's crazy things that happen in that game.
Ohio State, Michigan. The Ohio State, Michigan. That rivalry has just started to get interesting because the best team doesn't always win that game anymore. But for the first 25 years that I followed college sports, just the better team always won that game. Always. And now it's interesting because that doesn't happen anymore.
And yet, the loser of that game last year didn't matter because Ohio State ended up winning it all. So,
well, hey, everybody wanted to, us included, wanted to make the playoffs bigger. So there you go.
Oh no, I think that's great. I think it's great for Ohio State. That's the thing. It's one game. I mean, the most important games are the ones in the national title game, especially when you're Ohio State.
Even the moment after Ohio State lost to Michigan last year, they still had the highest ceiling of any team in the country. And if you put them in a 12-team playoff, they were going to be the favorite.
All right. Well, hey, great show today. Let's. I hope everyone enjoys the game on Saturday. Yeah. Where do you want to start? Do you want do people even care about Kent State? Do people even care what I have to say about Kent State, or do you just move on to Mateer?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything of what you have to say about Kent State. I specifically, I want to know. You've already told me you didn't watch much of it. I have to know your thoughts on Cortland Guillory's PI in the fourth quarter when OU was up 44-0. It was honestly, it doesn't really matter for the context of all of this, but I don't know. I thought genuinely that was some of the worst defensive back play I've ever seen, and I just wanted your takes on it.
Luckily for you, I watched it and wrote a giant note about that play. Obviously. And so here's the issue with that play. Britt Venables is asking his corners to play so much man coverage. And man is really hard. But so part of me is like, okay, cut him a little bit of slack because man is hard. But also, if that's basically all you're being asked to do, and I know he's a freshman, and it's game 4 or 5, but it's still game 5. He's played a lot of snaps this year. By now, man, be good at it. Be better at it, especially against Kent freaking State. And so why that matters in this scenario is that when you look at that play, the way it's set up, it kind of looks like he's playing zone because he's given a lot of cushion, but you watch it, he's playing man. And so that's a big difference. If he's playing zone coverage and he knows he has safety help, he can immediately, the entire time, just watch the quarterback's eyes, kind of go back and do his break. But when you're playing man, you have to still be aware of where the receiver is. Granted, in that particular play, 3rd and 8, you're already giving up 9 to 10 yards. You can afford, you're playing Kent State, I got to say that again, and you have a giant lead. You can afford to immediately at the snap watch the quarterback's eyes and read him because the entire time he was throwing deep. So yes, that was not a good play. And that was something where he turned the wrong way again. He tends to turn the wrong way. And that should have been a play where either he breaks it up or picks it off. That should be a really easy play. On 3rd and long, whatever, Kent State's bad. You know your pass rush is going to get there. They've been getting there all day. The quarterback's got to get rid of the ball pretty fast. So the odds of this receiver running by you are incredibly low. And even if he does, so what? You're already up, 40-0 or whatever the score is at that point? So it's discouraging that he was that poor on that play because that should have been a very easy play given the situation. And he looked really bad.
Well, you didn't disappoint. Thank you. Don't even get me started on Davon Jordan getting freaking mossed in the fourth quarter when it was 44-0, which allowed Kent State to get over 100 yards of offense. Is
this where everyone thought this show would begin? I was talking about secondary play in the 3rd and 4th quarter of the Kent State game. Yeah, that play. I actually had made a note. Davon Jordan made a nice play in the first half. He made a nice play at some point. I can't remember exactly, but I made a note and said, hey, Davon Jordan, nice job. But yeah, I have no idea what happened on that play because his coverage was terrific until the very end when he just allowed the football to be completed over top of his head. I have no idea what that was. So, you know what? Maybe that's a way to start the podcast because that could be a bad sign for how Oklahoma could have very little success or potentially lose against Texas is if their secondary players look like that on Saturday whenever the front 7 is playing really well.
Well, we'll get to that for sure. Although I do think if we have it my way, I think Gentry Williams and Eli Bowen are going to be playing a vast majority of the snaps in Dallas on Saturday, if it was up to me. But we'll see. Guillory is going to get in there a lot. Davon Jordan's not going to play, and at least not any defensive. He'll probably play on special teams, but he's not going to play any defensive snaps in this game on Saturday unless they're in some really weird spots. But no, I wanted to sit at Kent State because I still thought that the story of the Kent State game was I don't, and we're 3 or 4 days removed away from it now, and I've had more time to just think about it more and cool down to a certain extent. But I still thought that the story from OU in that game, other than winning the game 44-0 in sleepwalking fashion, was I thought Michael Hawkins looked genuinely just really bad. He looked real bad. And the context there is that Kent State arguably has the worst defense in all of the FBS. And it just things looked way too difficult through the air against them with him piloting the offense. And we went into it like if you go into the game against Texas assuming that Michael Hawkins is your starter, it's not at all a shock that Texas is favored on Sunday. If that's like what you're
They're playing on Saturday.
I meant favored on Sunday after the game.
Okay. All right.
Because the line was released on Sunday, yeah. And I'm
sorry. Okay.
And if you look at, we're recording this at 9:00 on Wednesday night, but in some areas OU is favored in this game now. Like after a while, like per ESPN, I think is the one area where that OU's a 1.5 point favorite. But so yeah, I wanted to, because Brady and I were texting a lot during the game on Saturday, and we didn't hear anything from you. You're hobnobbing with the Glitterati down in Austin, Texas, and you would think that maybe he's down there doing some recon for our big game on Saturday. But I think it's much more likely that he was fraternizing with the enemy. So Lee, do you have an explanation for yourself?
I was doing some recon on Lake Travis. I was on a boat during the game.
Oh, so you were okay. So you were the Mayfield family was hosting you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because he is from Lake Travis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I was on a boat. Didn't get to watch the game live. I didn't watch it until Monday. So a couple days ago. And so I'll put it this way, and I do have a lot on Michael Hawkins because I think that's that was obviously the most interesting thing about the game. I'll get this out of the way. Nothing really about the defense is interesting anymore, which is, okay, the defense is good to great, which we're kind of just taking for granted probably, but honestly, cool, it should be. Brent Venables is the head coach. It's year 4. He's calling the defense. It should be really good, and it is. That's awesome. It's kind of fitting that the first turnover they get is a fumble 6. Cool. Everybody played really well. So the defense and the pitch to shutout, as you were saying, hey, pitch a shutout, do that. Outside of that, there's just nothing interesting about the defense right now. My only question is the secondary good? We still don't know. And if the secondary is good, if we find out it's good, Oklahoma's has the best defense in college football. If Oklahoma's secondary is good, that is the best defense in college football. We just don't know if it's good yet, and they're going to get tested a lot starting Saturday because I think Texas can throw it. Sark's going to be able to scheme guys open, even though against Florida, kind of struggled scheming guys open here and there.
I would argue that if Texas has a lot of success throwing the ball on Saturday, it is evidence pointing towards OU secondary not being good. I don't think we'll actually know if OU secondary is good until they play Ole Miss at the end of the month. They're going to play. They have for whatever reason, their schedule has, and it's on paper a brutal schedule, but everyone in the offseason saying that, hey, yeah, their schedule's really tough, but it sets up really nicely just in terms. That's totally right at this point in time. They have not played a really good offense yet, and they're still not going to play a really good offense after this week. They're still not going to play a really good offense after next week either. They're going to play their first really good offense when Ole Miss comes to Norman at the end of October. And then, so yeah, their schedule sets up where they play in the regular season, and I think if you would have said this when the schedule came out last year around this time, if you would have said, hey, actually, I know that schedule looks really crazy, but OU is actually only going to play 4 really good offenses on that schedule of 12 games. I think people would have been really pleasantly surprised, oh, nice. I think they have a really good shot of having a good season. And that's certainly in front of them right now. But they're going to play 4 really good offenses, and all of them are in a row. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Alabama, Missouri are all by far the best offenses that they will play in the regular season. And they're all back to back to back to back.
Yeah, I think Texas has a competent Texas' offense statistically is better than they get it out to be, and I think they can competently complete forward passes, which has been a bane at Oklahoma's side. So I do think this can be a game that can tell us about Oklahoma's secondary. If it struggles, like, okay, well, it's definitely going to struggle against the better teams that throw the ball.
Just to be more precise in that, when they do complete forward passes, they're usually for a lot of yards. They do not complete a lot of forward passes. Arch has a 60%. He's got a 60% complete. That's not good. That's bad for this era of college football.
Sure, but like I guess from what they've seen, Oklahoma has not faced a competent passing team yet. Like Jackson Arnold was made to look better than he is by the scheme that Oklahoma played, and Bryce Underwood's not lighting the world up throwing the ball.
Ever since they left Norman, Michigan's been throwing the ball just fine.
It's like all throughout the run game. Like Bryce Underwood's not really throwing it around.
No, they're throwing it pretty well. I mean, Michigan's offense is better than Texas's through the first 5 games. Like, it's not even really a discussion.
Okay, so against his last game against Wisconsin was his best game. So he threw around a little bit against Wisconsin, but other than that, he hadn't done anything. I mean, his best game was in this New Mexico before they played OU, which, as you pointed out, there's a lot of stuff, short passes behind the line of scrimmage, things like that. But I do think that Oklahoma has not faced, and again, to me, it comes down to Sark. I mean, Sark can scheme it up. He's a really good offensive coordinator, and Oklahoma hasn't faced. I mean, I like Hugh Freeze, but Jackson Arnold's limited. He is. So, but anyways, we were talking about Michael Hawkins, and so that was actually technically his second best game of his career, based on quarterback rating, passer efficiency. 156.3, which in college is nothing special. That's fine. Against Auburn last year, he was at 156.8. So the Auburn game, basically the same kind of efficiency. So you could say, hey, based on the stats, like stats didn't look that bad. His completion percentage was under 60%, which is not good. But
we watched the game. I watched the game though with my eyes.
Right, but that's what I was getting at though. Is that even though the numbers like that are solid, you can make the argument that was his worst game as a player
relative to the competition.
And that's what it is. Like, given that he had a bye week plus a game week to get ready, to get settled in as a starting quarterback, playing against Kent State, who's awful, but by far the worst team that he has started against. Before that, Navy was the worst team he had started against, and he was fine in that game and had left a lot on the table in that game. It could have been a lot better. Ben Arbuckle, this is the biggest issue of that game. Ben Arbuckle schemed open throws for him, and Hawkins missed poorly, by my count, 7 times. And at least one of his completions was an awful, very poorly thrown ball, and that was the one catch by Giovanni Gibson that got him crunched and contorted weirdly in the air, and I don't think he even played the rest of the game after that, probably at precautionary reasons.
He didn't play a lot on Saturday, but he did play after that.
And so, okay, well, thanks for clarifying that. We all know this. Last year with Luttrell and Joe John Finley, those guys rarely ever were able to scheme open receivers for Michael Hawkins or Jackson Arnold. I mean, it was an incredibly difficult spot for anybody over and over and over again. In this offense in 2025, Ben Arbuckle knows what he's doing. And Kent State's terrible. And to miss as many throws and to miss as badly on those throws as Hawkins did, that is not good, man. His mechanics are poor. Most of the time, I still don't think he knows what he's looking at pre-snap. He's now slinging it like way sidearm unnecessarily. Like it's almost like he's trying to mimic John Mateer. And it's just one game, I get that, but it's a game against a truly awful team with a really bad defense. And Hawkins, he didn't make it look easy. Like he made it kind of look like kind of hard sometimes, a lot of times. So all that to say, I think Hawkins, he's still a solid backup quarterback, like for a quarter or two, maybe a game here and there. But, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, he is a significant drop-off from John Mateer.
Big time.
I mean, but that's discouraging because I think OU came into this season with maybe on paper, maybe one of the best quarterback spots in the game, considering Hawkins played so much last season and his athleticism and his talent. So, like, as a backup, like, I was like, I bet he's probably one of the better backups in all of college football. So, based on what we saw against Kent State, that Michael Hawkins, he's going to struggle against everybody the rest of Oklahoma's schedule. So, when John Mateer returns, whenever that is, it needs to be for good, and he needs to be healthy, and he needs to be unencumbered as much as possible.
Yeah, I saw enough, and not just thinking about the rest of these, because if Michael Hawkins has to play a lot this season, OU's in trouble. They're not going to have the season that they want to have. But I saw enough against Kent State. Hawkins is not going to be OU's quarterback next season. He can't be. And I'll say some nice things about him. He's got a howitzer. He's got a freaking cannon attached to his right shoulder. Get better, man. Work on your mechanics. Like you got all the ability in the world. Like the fact that he has seemingly made zero progress since last year is really disconcerting, and it's frustrating because you can see the ability dripping off of him, but he's just he needs to work better at his mechanics and everything. And I said against Brady, he is, for a football cliche, he is the epitome of an athlete trying to play quarterback. I mean, and so there's just he just can't really play the position. And it's while if you watched on YouTube, that's why I showed I had to. I kind of looped it a couple of times, just in the first drive of the second half, the 3-throw sequence where the ball was on the other side of the 50, and the Sooners were moving the ball and everything, and they're just 3 straight passes where guys are open, like the stuff is there, and he's just nothing. Like he could not hit water if he fell out of a freaking boat. He is genuinely, at this point in time, maybe the most inaccurate passer I have ever seen. And
it's like he's taking a step back mechanically. I have no idea. I don't remember his arm angle being like that consistently last season. I mean, like every ball he was throwing on Saturday was like he was dropping down like he was a shortstop trying to turn a double play. Like and you're right. Like his arm is so strong. I would
stronger than Mateer's
group chat.
He has a first round NFL arm in terms of strength.
It's Skip Johnson needs to be talking to Brent Venables and like, hey, do you want to pitch? I bet that dude throws 100 miles an hour. Like, get a baseball, and you have no idea where it's going to go, but he can make a lot of money playing baseball. Like, he should be a pitcher. Like,
I don't know how much money he can make in the California
insane.
Penal League, but
I didn't know he was going to be committing crimes.
It had nothing to do with him committing crimes. It's just it's a major league reference. Come on, that's a wild thing, right? Come on, let's go.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, yes. Oh, okay. Oh, because he's wild. Yeah, I got you. Because his arm is insanely strong, but he had no idea where the ball's going, no clue, and he has no touch. I just don't like. What do you do at practice for the years? And like, I don't get. And he's a quarterback coach now. So there's no excuse there. Yeah,
a weird situation. I thought that first drive, I thought you saw the full Michael Hawkins experience. Though you had the overthrow to Keontae Lewis in the back of the end zone, where you watch it on the TV broadcast, the TV broadcast, if a centimeter out of his hand, and watching on the TV broadcast, that's an overthrow. There's just like no possible way that's in the field of play. And and then the next play after they cart Keontae Lewis off, the next play is a quarterback draw where I don't know if I've ever seen that much space in the middle of the field, and he runs right into the back of his center there. And then the very next play is his wild, crazy touchdown pass to Isaiah Sategno, where you throw that pass against literally any other defense in the FBS, it's an interception for a touchback.
Yeah, I wish the Keontae Lewis play could have been, they could have shown the all-22, because on the TV copy, it seemed like once Keontae hit the post, that should have been when the ball basically left his hand, because I don't think the safety was over top yet. But in classic just college quarterback fashion, I mean, Hawkins was probably 2 to 3 seconds late on the throw, and then threw it way too far. And I just don't know how you can Don't you have a feel for it? Kind of reminded me, it's totally different, but it reminded me last year against Texas at the end of the game where he just ripped it way out of the back of the end zone on the last play of the game. Like, not going to give anybody a chance to just catch it? Like, you're just going to throw it away? But maybe he wasn't trying to throw it away. He just has no idea where it's going, man. He's just letting it fly.
So, yeah, I'm super appreciative. I mean, his poise at Auburn last season I thought was really impressive, and I thought the second half against Tennessee last season, I thought he looked pretty good too. He just doesn't have it, man. I would really prefer not to have to watch him in any high leverage situation the rest of the season. It would it's frustrating too because you see his talent. Like he's got a lot of ability, and
he has tons, man.
Like he is. I mean, like if you came to me and said right now, like even after what we've seen from Mateer and even Hawkins if you wanted to make like an earnest argument that Michael Hawkins is a more talented player than John Mateer, I may even agree with you. Like it's not, but I have never seen someone who is that incapable of like where he is right now of playing the position. I mean, it is that bad. Like I struggled watching that game last weekend.
Here's maybe like, how about this? Let's finish the Hawkins talk with some potential positive juju for him because he is only in his second year. I remember. I mean, the way he's built, his body type. He's probably what 6'2", maybe 6'3" ish. Like he's not like super tall,
small.
But
he's not small.
He can see above. Like he's decent size, skinny but athletic, fast. Best case scenario, like the way he's built and the way he could potentially play the game given his talent. Jaden Daniels, Jaden Daniels for like 4 or 5 years in college was nothing special. At Arizona State, he was okay. Like he wasn't a good passer. He was more of a runner. And then randomly going to LSU, his last year, definitely his last year, but maybe even the year before, he got really good. And he's a terrific throw over the football now.
Get him coached by Mike Denbrock and put a bunch of NFL receivers around him, and there you go. He wins the Heisman Trophy. I mean, I think OU's got some good players on offense.
Point is, though, it took Jaden Daniels, he was in college for 5 years, I think. I mean, it took him to the year 5 to really unlock everything. So, I mean, maybe that's best case scenario for a guy like Michael Hawkins with all that talent. He just needs to find the right place to be to harness it, and maybe he could obviously improve because you can improve as a passer. We've seen it. Josh Allen got a heck of a lot better as a passer from college to the NFL. Jaden Daniels has been a really good passer in a year and change in the NFL after being like a sub 60% completion guy, I believe, at Arizona State for like 3 years. So it is doable. It's just right now, he ain't it.
And you also saw in the first half, like he had a quarterback keeper. I think it was the second drive of the game where it was like a 30-yard run, and you can see just like a straight line speed. Guy like in a straight line, dude can fly. I mean, absolutely can. But for a guy who's as good of an athlete as he is, and he's a really good athlete, he oddly has no wiggle, like at all. And like there's one he got. There was a play where and like I want to say because Derek Simmons got absolutely smoked on a rep, and like he got beat like on an inside onto move, and Hawkins ended up getting sacked. And I remember still being shocked that he was sacked because I was like, how did he not get outside of that? Like with his athleticism and his ability, like how on earth did he not make that guy miss and get outside of that?
Yeah,
and it's odd. He just doesn't. I don't think he's got. I think he's very fast straight line, but I think if like for whatever reason, like if he's got to be in a phone booth, that's just not a strength. And so, I now feel bad for picking on Michael Hawkins so much because frankly, he's not going to be playing quarterback on Saturday. Yeah, there it is. There's my hot take. And so that's a very good transition. Lee, we're going to talk about John Mateer because before we really go into the full-on Texas preview, I think it's the only thing we can talk about right now because that, frankly, is the biggest storyline going into this game. I think it's pretty simple. John Mateer plays, OU has a really good chance. Nay, they should win the game. He doesn't play, Texas should probably win the game. I think it's that simple going into this game. It's not really that simple, but from like a hot take sport podcaster perspective, that's kind of what this game boils down to, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. It certainly sounds like he's trending towards playing, right? I mean, he
sounds like it. Okay, so Pete Thamel on Monday, we'll just kind of catch everybody up. Pete Thamel on Monday put out a story. It's kind of like around noon on Monday, saying that according to his sources, Mateer is quote unquote pushing to play against Texas, which kind of matches up with a lot of us have been hearing the last week or so. Like, because really what you're talking about there, what that actually says is that kind of what we've heard is that John Mateer has just been telling people that he's going to play. And sure, it's like, that's better than nothing. That's better than being like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to play, man. But also, like, what is he going to say at the same time? And so I've seen some people push back at that Thamel report as saying that, like, yeah, the report didn't actually say anything. All it really just said is that John Mateer is just telling people that he's going to try to play, and he's going to play. But there's also a little nugget in there that there's another quote, like, quote unquote, there's a belief that it's possible for Mateer to play. Again, there's a lot of work going on there. But everyone's been around the last week. We know it's like the sort of the vibe in the OU fan base, and I don't think it's completely unfounded or without reason. The vibe is, I think, has sort of shifted to a lot of people. I think are expecting that at the very least, Mateer's going to give it a go on Saturday. And so what that looks like, who knows? Who knows? I mean, he literally broke his thumb, which means he broke his hand 2.5 weeks ago. So it's, even if he does play, there is no guarantee that he will be particularly effective. I'll be honest with you, after what I saw from Michael Hawkins, I don't really care about that. But John Mateer needs to play in this game. He has to play for OU to really, in my mind, have like a realistic chance of winning. I'm not saying that if Hawkins was the starter, that OU would have zero chance. But in that instance, you're really talking about how you're going to have to fully lean on your defense, and like your defense is going to have to hold Texas to, at the max, in my opinion, like 10 points to win the game. And that's not a position that anybody wants to be in. So we have the Pete Thamel report. I know when Brent Venables was asked about it earlier this week, he was still very cagey about everything. Kind of his line is more along the lines of like, I don't know when John Mateer's going to be back. He'll be back when they tell me he can be back. And they, in this situation, presumably is the medical staff. And he also said that, I think he added on Tuesday when he had his availability, he said that, and this is one of the things, like I think he qualified it by saying, I don't know when he's going to be back, and he's done zero good-on-good work. That would be another sort of thing for Ben. Like, he didn't say anything there. That means nothing. Like, that means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I mean, John Mateer can go a whole week without even practicing and still be able to play in a game. We all know that. Granted,
and I think
that's not great. He'd be rusty. I mean, there's going to be rust to knock off. But yeah, I mean, just for John Mateer, he don't have to practice to play.
And there's also like there's kind of been, reporting is not the right word. Not like, I don't know, like there's some stuff behind a paywall, but it's on Twitter if you want to find it. He's been like quote unquote practicing in some like way, and that could be anything. That could be walkthroughs, that can be whatever. He's been practicing like since late last week in some capacity, and so what that means, large interpretation there. So, but like I think there's enough information out there to confirm that John Mateer is very realistically preparing to play this game. Whether or not it happens, I don't think we're gonna know until at the earliest like an hour before kickoff on Saturday. But I also think him being questionable on the injury report, and I had this brought up here to share my screen. We don't need to do that. The injury report's pretty small for both teams actually going into this week, which is on OU side is nice to see. But if John Mateer was like, I don't know, like if it was even like slightly below 50% that he was going to play in this game, he would not be questionable. He would be doubtful. Unless
I don't know about
unless you buy into the whole idea that they're playing games with it and they want to. But like, that's stupid. I hope they're not wasting time on stuff like that. That's silly. It doesn't like John Mateer could have broken his foot against Auburn, and Texas still probably would have largely prepared for John Mateer. So there's no reason to play games.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm at the stage now. I also agree. I mean, I think he's going to play, and I believe it was on our show. I think Brady made some good points, and I've kind of thought more about it as well. I mean, where Mateer probably is. I mean, what's it gonna by Saturday? How many days since the surgery? Like 17 or something.
It'll be technically I guess 17 days since his surgery. It'll be 16 days of recovery if you start the day from the day after he had surgery.
So I guess the way I'm looking at this, I'm going to expect him to essentially be in relatively the same exact position he was in after he got banged up in the Auburn game. That's kind of the way I'm looking. And honestly, nobody knew he got hurt until we found out later. Like, he looked fine. I mean, he made some really nice throws. He certainly was a heck of a lot more accurate with the football than some other quarterbacks that are not hurt. And so my math is that if he, and again, what we've learned about previous similar surgeries, we expect the Jared Goff one that everyone likes to bring up. It's as long as he can grip a football, he's going to give it a go. And if he is essentially, I'm hoping, I mean, if he's about where he was after getting banged up against Auburn, but obviously not broken anymore, I feel pretty good about his abilities. Aside from him not having any real practice for a while, that would be a thing where he's got to get into the flow of the game, and man, hopefully the defense can really help him out. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean,
Michael Hawkins started a game on Saturday. It didn't look like he's practiced in over a year. So
it's terrible. It's terrible.
I'm sorry.
I know. Like, our worries were like, hey, if he plays, is there a risk of potentially re-injuring it in regular football activities, or like unnecessary? Like if he goes down and does something that's like typical and consistent, can he re-injure it? Whereas like if it's repaired and it's there, and I think you brought it up maybe one of the previous shows, like maybe the only chance of re-injuring is if he does bang it again similarly, and obviously if he's like running the ball and like with his right hand, he'll probably be a little ginger with how he, I guess, maybe attacks certain guys. Maybe he'll put a glove on. I don't know. Just to kind of like for mental stuff. Although I don't love when quarterbacks wear gloves. I feel like gloves don't really help you with accuracy, but
unless there's like some sort of contraption built in there, sort of like the bloody sock. I don't know.
But yeah, no, I'm trending. I do think he's going to play, and I hope he plays, because if he doesn't play, it's I mean, I agree with your thesis. If Michael Hawkins starts and Mateer doesn't play, Texas should win the game. He should.
My mindset is if Michael Hawkins start this game, OU is in danger of getting their butts shut out. Is how I'm looking at it. So I mean, just like last year, he's just not.
I don't think it's that bad.
He's not any good. He's just not any good.
But at least he would have a lot. He'd have a competent game plan. Arbuckle would be able to put him in good spots, and maybe he just had a bad game against Kent State, and then he can catch some fire, and who knows. But another thing when it comes to Mateer, that in his health and stuff, that's pretty interesting though, is if you and I, like, we're pretty close to this stuff, and we're like, yeah, he's probably going to play. The line on the game is weird still. It's because I think, okay, let's say Mateer never gets hurt. He played against Kent State, 100% healthy. Everything happened the same way. What would this line be? And I think this line should be, if Mateer had never got hurt, I think it should be something like OU by 3, OU by 3.5, somewhere in there. Maybe 2.5, just to get some money here and there. But right now, he's trending towards playing, and Oklahoma still is a slight underdog. That makes me kind of feel a bit uneasy, because I'm wondering why the point spread hasn't moved yet, and money's not come in yet on OU. A little bit has, because it's moved. It's moved about 1.5. It was at 3.5. Now it's down to 1.5, 2, depending on where you're looking. So I don't know. I mean, if ESPN still has it, Oklahoma's a dog. I mean, that I mean, it's
No,
only by
ESPN
1
has OU as a 1.5-point favorite.
Oh, it's the other way around. Okay.
That's the only place that I can find OU as the favorite right now. FanDuel, DraftKings has Texas as like a 1.5-point favorite right now, so it's gone down about 2 points since it debuted on Sunday night. I gotta tell you, this is I think this is sort of an interesting angle of the game because Texas opening as the favorite scares the hell out of me, and I don't know, call it like battered OU fan syndrome. I don't know, but we know we've talked about it. We've talked about it on this podcast a lot. Unranked team as a favorite against a ranked team in terms of betting principles is like one of the most rock solid bets that you can possibly make. And
typically it's a home team though, and this is not. It's a
sure.
neutral site game, but yeah, I mean.
But still, it doesn't. Nothing makes sense. Like, and I've said ad nauseum the last handful of years that, I really trust SP Plus, and that I feel like SP Plus in Vegas is basically the same system, whatever they're using. And SP Plus OU has OU as a 7.5-point favorite in this game, and it does not take into account injuries or anything like that. But then, and so even if you take like what Texas is a 3.5-point, like that's a difference of like almost 11 points there, and that just doesn't happen very often from what you see. And so I think like a very easy thing to point to is that it's like Mateer's health is totally within question, but even then, I mean, the numbers suggest that even if Mateer was healthy, maybe like it would be a pick'em, and even then it would still be like a 7.5-point difference between that and SP Plus. And Texas doesn't have a dog Vegas does not have a dog in the fight. Like, they're not trying to make a point. They're not trying to do anything. They're just trying to get even money on both sides. And
no, I think if Mateer's healthy, it'd be OU -3 or -2.5, maybe 3.5. I mean, because Mateer's he's worth that means he's worth about 5 to 6 points. That opening line at 3.5 is like Mateer not playing. Granted, even though it probably should have been higher, should have been like 6.5. I know you think it should have been double digits if it was going to be Hawkins playing. Maybe it would.
I mean,
I think Oklahoma's defense is.
I'm being a fan, like from a betting perspective, but like.
I mean, sevens. I mean, if there's that much of a disagreement and it's that off, I mean, this should be the bet of the year for everybody who likes OU. Everybody that really buys into SP Plus. This should be unwrap the rubber band on your wad of cash and just throw it all down on this game, because you're getting, according to that, you're getting 6 to 7 points of value. I mean, you've already lost some value since OU's some points have gone down, but still, like, you're getting 6-7 points of value. That is massive. I mean, that doesn't happen.
And so we may as well just go. We're into the Texas preview at this point in time. Apologize. There's not going to be a Bad Boy Mowers OU opponent superlative this week. Sorry, it's just a really, really busy week here in work world over here, and 9 o'clock, and we're recording now. So, Texas opens as the favorite, which I think goes against what everybody would have expected based off Texas being a 2-loss team. And I know they lost at Ohio State, which I think, and I watched them play against Minnesota on Saturday night. Ohio State is, I think, pretty clearly the best team in the country. That could change. It could change because who knows what Julian Sane will look like against a really good defense, like in a hostile environment. I don't, that hasn't happened yet. So they lost that game, and then they lose. They lose against a Florida team in the swamp, a Billy Napier team coming off of a bye, which may as well be the '85 Bears, as far as like history is concerned. And so like I can see it. And so if you look at it in the context of Texas was like an 11 or an 11.5-point favorite in the preseason in this game, and now it opens at 3.5 the day after last Sunday. You could still say it's like, hey, the line has shifted 8 points. That's a ton. That's a lot. But like also, it doesn't really match up from what we've seen. And hey, I've watched a lot of college football this year, and like I think I've probably watched a little bit more Texas than you have and everything. And OU has not been perfect, but OU's been a better team than Texas this year. I think it's just not even really that close in the sense that Texas's defense is still pretty terrific. OU's defense, I think, has been better. I think OU's defense, especially in the front seven, has just been a little bit more stout and can force you into to bad moments a lot more than Texas, has been able to up to this point in time this season. But I think OU's offense has been, while it has not been great, it's certainly been a lot more consistent than Texas's has, especially in the department of completing forward passes. Now, I do think that is the strength of Texas's offense, completing forward passes, but it's more in the sense of completing explosive passes. They don't complete passes consistently. They're kind of in the diet Trace McSorley offense right now, essentially, where like the only thing they can get is explosive passing plays, but they get them way less often than a McSorley and Saquon Barkley like offense at Penn State did. And they're not throwing to Chris Godwin and other types of guys. It's Parker Livingstone, who is, I said on the Sunday show with Brady, if OU loses this game, Parker Livingstone's going to have 200 yards receiving and is going to make OU's life a complete nightmare. And so I see that. I see a lot of public opinion about Arch being what a bust, like he's a massive flop, this guy. And you kind of had a different opinion watching. Like I watched all of that Florida and Texas game last week. I watched it live, and I was just like, yeah, Arch hasn't been like great or anything, but bad, definitely not. Bad in moments for sure, but like bad the entire game. Like I didn't really think so. But also not great. Not a guy that like terrifies you, but certainly a guy who can make 3 or 4 plays a game for sure. Which if Michael Hawkins is starting, certainly might be enough. Even if John Mateer is starting, might be enough. And so I see all of this. I see all of this momentum and all of this public opinion going against Texas at this point in time. And this is where battered OU fan syndrome comes in, and I immediately start thinking, this is when you should be scared.
I mean, I get it. It's sure. I haven't watched as much Texas. I honestly haven't even gotten through the entire Florida game. I saw highlights. I've watched the first 2.5 quarters, and the last thing I saw was Arch's second touchdown pass, which was a nice throw. But before that, he hadn't done anything in the game. So it tells me that he gets a lot of his yards and stuff there in the fourth quarter. And but I guess what really stands out to me, and I just don't know if it's going to be replicated, but based on what we've seen so far from Oklahoma's defense, it seems like it should be able to be replicated. I mean, Florida's defense is nothing special this season, and they manhandled the line of scrimmage against Texas. And I think Arch is actually pretty darn good in the pocket. I think he has good pocket awareness. He's able to maneuver the pocket well. But
nothing special, but they've been competent. They haven't. The most points they've given up in a game this year is like 26 to Miami.
But like Havoc though. I mean they sacked Arch 6 times.
That's I think going into that game,
3 sacks going into the game.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 sacks the entire year going into that game, and also I think like their 2 best defensive linemen didn't play; they were out.
So you see that, and it's just maybe Texas offensive line is just not very good. I don't know. This
game though, sometimes that stuff doesn't matter. I mean, like I think you and I would agree that 2017 OU, and like all of the players are different. Both the coaching staffs totally different. You're right; it shouldn't matter, but you and I would both agree that 2017 OU offense is one of the best that we've ever seen at the college level. OU scored 29 points in that game? What was it? They didn't break 30.
Fine.
And Texas's defense that year was genuinely bad, like really bad. And OU couldn't really couldn't score when they did score when they absolutely needed to, but they couldn't separate.
But wasn't Texas solid though in 2017? Like they weren't a bad team.
I don't think so.
But yeah, I mean I was frustrated. Yeah, I thought OU should have won that game by more. Oh no, yeah, they weren't very good. They were 7-6. But also I'll reference. We talked about this before the show, and I think Brady makes a good point here. They're like, I don't care about the history of this game. It shouldn't matter. It doesn't.
It does, though. And you're right. It shouldn't, but it does. It does.
Yes, but like every single year it's a new one. And to me, it doesn't really matter. So, and the thing that's different this time, and shout out to Brady, that I was like, oh, that's a good point. Like, for all these years, Oklahoma's defense has been bad, man. Oklahoma's got a good defense, like possibly elite defense. And you can't really fake really good front defensive line play like that. I mean, look at Texas, and they're deep. I mean, so would you say that Michigan has a better offensive line than Texas?
I think Michigan has a better offense than Texas, just in general.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, Michigan's offensive coordinator didn't seem very good. Like,
I think Michigan is better on the offensive line. They're better at quarterback. They're better at running back. Texas is probably a little bit better at pass catcher.
And I mean, Michigan couldn't keep Oklahoma's defense at bay. I mean, they're getting after Bryce Underwood pretty fast. I mean, the game plan was to get the ball out fast. And I don't know. I mean, it was one game, but Texas has played two good teams, Florida and Ohio State. The other three games, as far as I'm concerned, are irrelevant. You can also, I mean, kind of say with OU. I mean, Kent State, Illinois State, and Temple, kind of irrelevant, but the two games they've won, it's been closer than we'd have liked. But we both agree that OU should have won those games by more. They should have beaten Auburn by more, and they should have beaten Michigan by more. And the defense in both those games played really, really well. Granted, pass defense against Auburn was not great, and there was one bust against Michigan in the run game. Everything else was like, darn, this is pretty darn good. And so that's, to me, it's pretty simple, man. Like, if the Oklahoma secondary can play good pass defense, I think the front four, front seven, they're going to get after him. They're going to get after the quarterback. They're going to make it that clock in Arch's head. It's going to go. And Sark knows that, though. And Sark's really good. But against Florida, he was not. It didn't seem like he was drawing up a whole lot of open throws. Granted, Arch did miss a couple. He missed a wide open guy up the seam. They missed a touchdown pass in the first half. He got his buddy Parker Livingstone, his ACL somehow miraculously didn't tear on that deep shot where he made the catch, but then he got undercut and missed the rest of the first half. So Arch kind of missed some throws here and there, but like underneath and middle, like kind of 10 to 15 yards, like it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of open guys, and if there were, Arch didn't see him. So
Maybe.
it's just if the defensive line is really good like it has been, Oklahoma's defense should have a pretty good day. And that's why it's up to the secondary to not suck.
I agree, but also I think, would you agree, though, that we have seen in some games this year, even OU's defense has been great. It's been really good. Still letting way too many guys behind them. That's still been happening.
That's what I'm saying. I know. That's what I'm saying.
And
it's like why the secondary can't let that happen.
And you could, like, looking at this rationally, you could look, you just said it, like going into that game against Texas last week, Florida only had like 2 or 3 sacks the entire year. So is it reasonable to maybe expect that, or to suggest that Sark going into that game was just like, yeah, Florida doesn't really have much of a pass rush. Caleb Banks is out. Their other really good defensive lineman is out. We're going to have time to throw in this game. We're going to do this. And it didn't work out for him. Like, they still weren't able to protect Arch at all. But that's not something that, like, Sark is not going to go into this game thinking that Texas can hold up in 5-man protection against OU. He's not an idiot. Like, he's not that dumb. And so it's like that's what I'm scared of. I am scared of 7- and 8-man protections for Texas being the norm in this game.
It should be easy to cover then.
And then
should be easy to cover then.
But that's the thing, though. I don't think we have seen, or at times we have seen OU not cover well.
I know, but it should be. We're going to learn a lot about OU secondary in this game. Like, it's just, and so, know, man, and I'm sorry. I've said it. Like, Texas has played well in this game 13 consecutive seasons. I don't know. I've 13 consecutive years where OU's defense wasn't anywhere near as good as this defense is.
True.
And like, to Brady's point, like, that's why Texas was able to stay in so many of those games, because Oklahoma's defense was so bad. It let Texas get back into the game.
But if you think for a second that logic matters in this game, you're losing. You're wrong. You're wrong. It's I agree that is a sound thing, and I think on paper the biggest mismatch in this game is Texas's offensive line against OU's defensive front. And OU's defensive front is awesome. It's really good. Like they have of I don't know, like the amount of guys that they are rotating in, I think OU probably has like 7 or 8 draft picks that they're going to play in this game on the defensive front.
We'll see about that. That's a lot of numbers.
Well, let's see here. Jaden Jackson, David Stone, Dominic Williams, Grayson Halton, R. Mason Thomas, Marvin Jones Jr. That's 6 right there.
You think Marvin Jones Jr. is going to get drafted?
Yes, definitely.
Just because of his measurables?
Yeah.
Let's flip it, though. Another thing that is interesting to me, and you said it's just because Billy Napier's Florida team after a bye is like the 85 Bears, but Florida couldn't run the ball until they played Texas. And they just ran it down Texas's throat for the first half. Clearly, Texas got better as the game went on. But
I made the point to you that Florida not being able to run the ball in the first 4 games of the year did not make sense. It didn't make sense.
But they
in
didn't,
the context
though.
But them being able to run the ball in the way that they ran it against Texas, and they still didn't even average 5 yards per carry in the game. It made much more sense relative to what we thought Florida was coming into the season.
Yeah, I think that matters, though, because if you can't run the ball for, 4 games, that means you can't run the ball. And all of a sudden, it'd be like if Oklahoma just broke out on Saturday.
Not true.
Yes.
You didn't run the ball very well in 2017 until Rodney Anderson emerged in the second half of the year.
Yeah, but their offense was excellent, though. Like, overall. They didn't need to. And, Florida's been bad. Like, their offense has sucked. Like, apparently that's their thing. Like, they're supposed to be able to run the ball.
The 2020 OU team could not run the ball at all. One of the worst running teams in the Big 12 probably that season until Ramondre Stevenson showed up, and then they were great. They were one of the best running teams in the country.
Yeah, because Ramondre Stevenson showed up. I mean, and also it's the Big 12, and they didn't face any good. Texas defense is supposed to be one of the best defenses in the world, and then now that's a team that Florida can run on. It doesn't make any sense. That shouldn't happen. It's like if the worst running team in
this game.
Yes, it's like if Florida came in against OU. It's like if Florida played OU and OU gave up a bunch of rushing yards to Florida. Like that, we'd be like, "What the heck?" And Florida didn't have a 75-yard run like Justice Haynes did on Michigan. I mean, it was chunks, and I think the final numbers were skewed, obviously, because Florida they were more predictable later in the game, trying to run the clock out, and they were running it. But the first 2.5 quarters, I was watching, man, both their backs were over 5 yards per carry or more. It was pretty impressive.
But also, I mean, you watched that that one touchdown run that Jaden Baugh had, where he made a guy miss with a jump cut in the backfield, and no one on OU
he's good.
Nobody making that play on OU, unfortunately.
I think Blaylock could, but yeah, that's another thing too. Is Blaylock's athletic. He's good. I think
Blake's a decent player. He's decent. He's not he's not incredible. He's fine.
No, but I think he could make a guy miss like that. It's weird. I just think it's weird that I don't know, man. We'll find out. It's too bad Mateer's not fully healthy, because I don't know. Texas's defense that's a weird game that they just got run by Florida.
And that's just that's what makes me, I don't know. This is desperate Texas in this game is just terrifying.
What if they're a team that's just like your Penn State Nittany Lions? What if they're got a bunch of quitting them?
That sounds great. Then I will go and I would love nothing more than to be wrong. I still don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm scared of this game. Because it's a game that OU should win. I agree. I really think they should win this game. But I just history tells me that as soon as you start feeling confident about this game, then that's when it goes the other way. And it's not just this year. I've felt that way so many times before too. And
yeah, it's just.
And you're right. You're right. The past games should not matter. And they don't, but then they always just do. And Texas has played over their heads in this game across 3 different coaching staffs now. OU has played down to Texas, or worse than Texas, across 3 different coaching staffs too.
Hey man, when Brent Venables has a starting quarterback in OU Texas game, he wins. It's only been 3 games, but and also that happens in an odd number of years. You want to get real typical. I mean,
sure. And I'll also say that.
But then again, he might not start.
And Brent Venables was the first OU coach to win this game as an underdog since Bob Stoops did it 22 years before that. And
also probably the first coach to lose this game by a bajillion points multiple times.
Oh, well, yeah, I know the 49-0 was Texas's largest victory ever in the series. So,
yeah, Sark's got that ball in his office, man. He's real proud of that, beating up on Davis Bevel.
I would be too. It still
why
counts.
Not?
Still counts. I mean, freaking Texas started a receiver at quarterback in 2015 and ran it down OU's throat. So,
wasn't Mike Stoops involved in that one?
He sure was. Yeah, that was I was going back. I was trying to do a little bit of research because I was trying to come up with a superlative beforehand. But yeah, OU was a 16.5-point favorite in 2015. And they lost.
Hey, man, all I know is that in the history of OU football, I shouldn't say that, since the turn of the century, in this game, when Mike Stoops or Alex Grinch is not involved and OU has their starting quarterback, OU's undefeated in this game. So let's hope Mateer plays. And
Mateer, he's going to play. I think at this point in time that I think there's far too much smoke for there not to be fire there. So I expect Mateer to play. I think it's fair to question his effectiveness level.
Oh yeah, he'll probably struggle.
One of the things that, and maybe I said this on Sunday when Brady was hosting with me, but a talking point that I heard way too much over the 2 weeks during the bye week was that Hawkins was a better runner than Mateer, and every time I heard that, I wanted to jump off of a building. So I was like, "Have you guys watched anything? Are you I don't know, we said it over on our rewatch, going back and watch you say Mateer's legs are the best part of his game. That's the most dynamic aspect of his game. He's a terrific runner, and there is and we'll see, because I know there's reporting, and I'll hat tip George over at Sooner Scoop, and they have reported, they've said it on their podcast, but Mateer had a knee thing going into that Auburn game, and presumably that was also the case against Temple as well, which is why maybe he didn't look like he had as much juice in that. Theoretically, right? He's had 3 weeks now where he hasn't, his knee should be good. He should be healthy there. So we should see the Mateer with juice in the run game. Even if he's not close to let's say even 90% with his hand and being able to throw the ball and everything. Because Mateer's a much better runner than Hawkins.
Yeah, but I don't care. I don't like to see him run, especially if his hand's weak.
Win the game.
More chance of getting hit and fumbling.
Win the game.
Getting hit,
I
don't
care.
Yeah, they're going to win the game. It's just I don't. Yes, that's cool, but that's not his best thing. His best thing is his ability to understand what the defense is doing and play quarterback within the system and on schedule. And he can extend plays if he needs to.
I don't think he does a very good job of playing within the system or on schedule at all. That's the least good thing about his game. He's much better. He's much better when the play breaks down.
I don't think so. No, he's not. He's better to get the ball out of his hand.
He's a great runner. He's a great runner. When he is fully healthy, he is the best running quarterback in college football. He's great.
Okay, but I don't care. It doesn't. That's not going to win you.
It's okay, but that's what it is. Why don't you just accept that? That's what it is. That's who he is.
But that's not what's going to. It's just what's the right word?
If you pair a guy like that with the best defense in college football, hell yeah, you can win games that way. Are you kidding me?
You're acting like he's Cam Newton and he's going to run it 20 times a game. It's not sustainable.
No, I'm not saying that he's Cam Newton. He's not as good of a runner as Cam Newton, but I said, he's as good of a runner as Eric Crouch is, and he throws it a lot better.
It's a timely reference.
I don't know. That's who he reminds me the most of when he runs. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just it's a game that defies all logic. And that's where, and like, I listened to, and Brady and I didn't get as much into this. I listened to the Through the Keyhole podcast, and Brady on that is he's making a lot of the same points of essentially like, hey, what do we know about Texas and their weaknesses? And it's their offensive line up front. They struggled to block people this year, and Arch has gotten hit a lot, and he hasn't had a lot of time to throw, and he's been kind of, and he's like, what does OU do the best on their team? It's rush the passer and get after the quarterback. And I do agree with that. Like if you look at it from that angle, of course, like you can feel good about Oklahoma going into this game. Man, when has that ever mattered in this game?
It doesn't matter, man. Like if the secondary can just not be bad, the defense should be really, really good. That's it. Like it's my gosh, this is like the perfect example of holy cow, safeties and corners. Do your freaking jobs. Like your front seven is going to get after it. And if they struggle and they don't, then you know what? Tip your cap to Texas. Tip your freaking cap. Like if they end up calling a really good game and they run the ball really well and Oklahoma gets off balance on the back heel and the defensive line does not look the same, then you know what? Then that's just wow. Like good job.
Exactly.
Well done,
but that's
Texas.
But that would be an example of exactly what I'm talking about. If Texas does that, they have done nothing this season to suggest that that's possible.
Man. Like it's still Texas. Like this is not like bad, horrible Texas. Like with a receiver playing quarterback, Arch Manning is still capable, and Sark is a really good play caller. Like when you have that,
okay?
then
So
you're good.
okay, so what? You're picking Texas now. So you're back on Texas.
No, I'm just saying, like, if the front seven of Oklahoma doesn't play well, then that's just like, well, crap, that sucks on them. Like, they should have played better.
How about this? In a vacuum, if this is all about, like, what the two teams have looked like the first 5 games of the season, and it's Texas's offense against OU's defense, Texas should struggle to get into the double digits in this game, scoring. They should.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm having a hard time believing that is even remotely in the realm of a possibility right now. Like,
oh, okay. Well, I mean, you buy into voodoo and all this, like witch doctor stuff. I don't.
All I know is that we got 13 straight years of Texas playing above their heads in this game. I know Texas will play their best game of the season on Saturday.
It is a lot harder to play above your heads on offense whenever the opposing defense gets after you. And it's really good.
Texas has come in the last 13 years, Texas has come into this game with much worse offenses and has won the game and moved the ball pretty well.
And yeah, but Oklahoma's had terrible defense. I mean, the best defense they've had
OU's defense was
2020?
OU's defense was not terrible in 2013 and 2015. It wasn't this level, but it was like last year's level, probably ish.
Okay, but like last year's level was good, but it wasn't like their secondary is bad. Like they couldn't stop the pass. And that's like we still don't know if the secondary is good. Their stats look good. Oklahoma's pass defense numbers are great. Like they haven't given up that many big plays. They have one of the best pass defense statistically. Is that just a product of the opponents they played? Maybe, or is it actually good? I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Wait, are you saying in those games it was the opposite? Their secondaries were pretty good. They just couldn't stop the run, and there was that was the issue in those games.
Was it a defense that could typically stop the run?
No, they'll column A, they'll column B every now and then, but no. I mean those two defenses had. Well, 2013 was different. 2013 had good. They had good defensive backs. They had that was like Aaron Colvin, Zach Sanchez. And they were 2015 was more the strength of that team was probably rushing the passer. But that was they started Gerard Hurd at quarter, and I think he maybe threw it 6 times the entire game, and so I mean you like so I don't know, and that's why I'm concerned just because there are areas where I can definitely see Texas finding stuff to exploit. And I think maybe my biggest fear on the defensive side of this game is Brent Venables kind of getting too big for his britches and coming out with the Auburn game plan of playing man-free across the board and just trying to heat up Arch. And they should not do that. They should not do that. It should be they should play a mush coverage and force Texas to be patient and dink and dunk it and run the ball against them. The only way that Texas has been able to move the ball this season is chunk plays through the air. They haven't done it consistently, but it's the only really way they've been able to move the ball this season. Do not give that to them. Force them to do something else. And I'm scared that Venable's not going to do that. I think
he'll have a lot of different ideas, though. He's not going to do the same thing the entire game. I mean, I feel like against Texas, there's always wrinkles. They always do things a little bit different here and there. Hey, I mean, I can't remember what they did 2 years ago against Texas, but whatever it did seemingly worked okay. I mean, OU should have won that game by more points. I mean, bad special teams by OU, not capitalizing off of turnovers. So
it's another thing, too. OU's special teams this year have been terrific. Texas's have not been good. They've been sloppy. And so do you find advantages there? I don't know. But, this is a game where I think, Texas is not done. They're going to come into this thinking our defense has got to win us this game, and we're going to have to make the right plays on offense in the right moments. And that's where I'm just is in those right moments, does Vinny get a little high on his supply and ask Cortland Guillory to play man-free against someone, and they just bring the house? And that's kind of where I'm a little
insert
iffy.
Davon Jordan or Jacoby Johnson into the game randomly for no Is Makari Vickers on the roster still? Maybe they put him in the game too.
No, I believe he is. I believe he plays for Colorado now. The Buffaloes. You familiar with them? You heard about them?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, it's a weird game for sure. I guess we've kind of what do I want to see happen on the offensive side of the ball? I want OU to score 100 points. I want them to just absolutely I want them to bomb away, and I want them to score a touchdown on every play. That's simple. What do I want to happen on defense? I want them to smoke Texas physically across the board. This is OU Texas. I want them to come out and play well. I want them to play their best game. And so I don't know.
I just want them to win.
Yeah, I really
they
want
got better
to win
teams
the
to play this year than Texas.
They do, and that's where it's just I'm kind of annoyed at this idea too. If people are just even saying OU's even if they drop Texas needs this game more. Texas season's over. They're not going to the playoffs. They're not. Texas is not going to go unbeaten the rest of the season. They're not. That's not going to happen. So this is OU's got to win this game. This is OU's of their 7 remaining games. This is their second most winnable game. Go win. They have to. They got to win this game.
Yeah, we can learn a lot about the Sooners here in this game. I mean, it's crazy, man. Venables done a nice job in year 4. I mean, he's well on his way to getting people like you and me to be like, okay, maybe. Granted, a lot of his success is due to John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle right now, but Venables' defense is
it's great.
Done exactly what he should be doing, and his assistant coaches. So high marks for that. So what I'm getting at is, this is Oklahoma goes out and wins this game and does its job and makes it kind of comfortable. And it's because Oklahoma should win this game, even though they're not favored right now. But I do think they've played better than Texas. And if John Mateer plays and is healthy, they're a better team. And that would be pretty interesting. It's okay. Oklahoma's in a really weird spot right now, considering their defense is so good. We hope, given secondary, we're still waiting to see on that until they play some better teams that can throw it. Then if Mateer can come back and be healthy and hopefully stay healthy the rest of the year, their offense, while not elite or anything like that, but they have a high ceiling. They can keep getting better and better because John Mateer is so good. And Oklahoma does have some good offensive talent. And I don't really think the offensive line is fine. It's not the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line. It's fine. As long as they don't get injured, they're going to be able to do whatever. And of course, if Jaden Knott can emerge as a viable second option behind Torrey Blaylock, and Oklahoma doesn't have to use Javonte Barnes anymore, really, unless they actually have to, that'd be cool too. What I'm getting at is Oklahoma's schedule is tough, but and this is not breaking news, but they could potentially be the best team in the SEC if things
Per
kind of
SP
go a
plus,
certain way.
They are per SP plus through, and we're into October now, man. Second week of October. That's not nothing. And they do. I think as of right now, I think you can pretty realistically say that they probably got the best defense in the SEC. I mean, which is, I think it's pretty sweet. They definitely talking about defensive line, like best defensive line in the SEC. I really like that. Yes, they definitely
It's looking pretty good.
They definitely do. Yeah. So
yeah, you said. I mean, I know you were kind of just joking, but I mean, I'll be more specific. I mean, and I'll be able to about what I want to see on offense, and I'll give me a chance to talk a little bit more about Kent State. So I mean, I didn't talk about Jaden Ott at all. So obviously, Jaden Ott had his best game as a Sooner. I was encouraged by the way he looked. His first couple of carries, he went for first downs. I still thought Torrey Blaylock was clearly the better of the two backs. Like he's our number one guy. He just looks more explosive.
They're different. I think they're different players. I mean, I'm fine with that, but I still don't think Torrey Blaylock is really that much to write home about right now. I mean,
on this roster, he's the best back on the team right now, and he hits the hole. Like when he sees it, he can explode. The problem with Ott is that he still seems to lack some explosiveness. Only at 11, 12-yard gain, he can never get out. He waits for his blocks to develop, which it can't. That's fine. It makes sense in certain situations, but that can also hamstring you because sometimes you gotta just hit the hole, put your foot in the ground, and just go. And if you're just constantly waiting and waiting, then you can get put behind the line of scrimmage. And honestly, as I was watching, Ott to me looked like a lesser version of what we got out of a healthy Gavin Sawchuk at OU. And Sawchuk's gone on to Florida State and having a nice year, and now we're kind of just waiting for Jaden Ott to be a thing. So that's what he kind of looked like to me. It was like a lesser version of like healthy Gavin Sawchuk.
Sure, maybe. This is what I told Brady. The one nice thing that I saw from Jaden Ott, and I still don't think he looked great. I think he looked a lot better than Javonte Barnes does running the ball.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty low bar.
What I liked what I saw from Jaden Ott, and I said that I saw this a little bit in his like few carries against Michigan too, was that so far he's the only OU back that I've seen who actually tries to run to space, and you can actually see his eyes and his head scanning, looking for space as he runs. Torrey Blaylock is not like that. He prefers to just put his shoulder down and run through you.
He's gotten better since game one. I think his vision's still not great. But the problem with Otto right now, he does that, but he's not explosive or fast enough to hit the hole, right? Like he's not anywhere near as good as he was in 2023. Like I know he was supposed to be super fast. He ain't fast right now. Like he's tentative still. It was better against Kent State, but also Kent State's terrible. And he still only averaged 4.5 yards a carry. Like Blaylock was up over 5, like where he should be, and like he had 19, 20-yard run, whatever like that. But it's encouraging. At least he did something. And so what I want to see against Texas, if that's the two guys they run with, great. Like give him some more run. At least he's got a big body. I like that. And maybe he can get more comfortable in the offense, especially if Mateer plays and he can get more snaps with Mateer. Cool. Like I'd like to see Jaden Ott do more things. So that's another thing. Isaiah Satania, he's great, man. Like I love that guy. I think he's easily their best player with the ball in his hands. I guess aside from John Mateer. So he's a terrific punt returner. He's a great punt returner, and I think you said it on the last podcast. He's the best wide receiver. He is.
Oh yeah,
he is the yeah. He's really good, and
he's an NFL.
He has incredible vision. He knows where to go, and I guess that's pretty rare, man. Like I don't understand why more receivers and running backs don't have it, but Satania shows that. Well, I guess maybe it is more rare than it should be, at least on Oklahoma's roster of the last handful of years.
I look at Satania, and I think Satania's terrific. I think he's a really good player. I think he's going to draft. I think he's an NFL guy for sure. But I
want to see him do stuff.
But I'm also like, I look at Satania, and I'm just like, you know what? But Satania, his ideal is he's a number 2 guy on a great offense. That's like, you know what I mean? And like,
he shouldn't be your best receiver.
Yeah. And it's like, if he is your best receiver, he's an NFL guy, so it's like it's not going to kill you, obviously. But
He's a little undersized, but maybe.
Yeah. But there's just something about him that I think is, and he's just kind of gotten better and better too as the season goes on. Like the more and more that we see of him, the more that I like. So I like Satania. Still not ready to say he's the best pass catcher on the team because that is Jaren Kanak still.
I mean, I think they're both really good in different ways. I mean, but yeah, sure. I mean, you're splitting hairs. You're arguing Jordan versus LeBron.
See, sure would be nice to see stud Deion Burks against Texas. That'd be great. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, he's a nice player, I guess, but that's about it. Like,
where's the Deion Burks that we saw in the first half against Michigan? Wish that could be bottled. And,
yeah, he's good.
For the entire season, but we'll see. Maybe there's just something about it that like Mateer breaks his hand on like the fifth snap of the game against Auburn, and so maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll see more of it. But I'm like, Mateer plays and everything. Like I still don't expect the offense to be like great or anything like that. But I expect the offense to do what they've done when Mateer is in there, which is move the ball and score when they absolutely have to.
And as far as defense goes, I've already hit on it. I'll just be quick. I mean, what I want to see on defense, Oklahoma's defense is significantly better than Florida's defense. And Florida's defense has been fine, but like Oklahoma's been able to get after the quarterback a lot more. And we know about how ridiculous the lack of turnovers have been. If Florida's defense can do that much damage to Texas and make them that uncomfortable, Oklahoma's defense should be able to do it at worst just the same. And so all I ask is I want the defensive line and linebackers to just play exactly the same way they have been. And I want to see the secondary cover guys and pick up their front seven. Pick them up, guys. They're doing all the hard work. They're doing all. Granted, Preventables is asking those corners to play on islands a lot. That's not easy. But they've been doing it so much now. Be better at it. It's easier whenever your front four or five are getting after it, and the quarterback has to throw the ball a lot faster than he wants to. So that's all I want to see on defense. If that happens, I think Oklahoma's defense will eat and hold Texas down to not very many points.
I will say, if Venables does go into the game and he's going to ask his corners to be on an island the entire game, I'll feel a lot better about it if it's Eli Bone and Gentry Williams. Feel a lot better about it. So,
or Kendall Dolby, even though he's playing a lot more in the middle.
I don't think he's a corner. I think he's much better at that at the nickel cheetah position. So we'll see. And I think
they clearly think that. But.
And I think we'll see. I think we'll, and like not to say that we're not going to see Kendall Daniels at all. Like we will, but I think we probably will see more of like the Dolby Powers, like 1-2 than we. I would say like those two guys combined get more snaps than Daniels does in this game. When then. Next week when they're in Columbia, I bet we'll see Kendall Daniels like a vast majority of the game, which is like, that's great. They have they can do a lot of stuff with their personnel there in terms of like what the other team is gonna show. So, all right, Lee, what's gonna happen? I'm not really gonna give a prediction. So what's gonna happen?
I think again, I'm gonna go with the fact that my theory. Wrong word. I'm going to theorize that John Mateer is going to play, and he's going to be in a similar kind of field that he was after getting banged up against Auburn. Hopefully, maybe a little bit more healthy, obviously, because that hand is repaired now. So given that, and the fact that I thought Mateer was terrific in the second half of that game with an injured throwing hand, I think Mateer will do enough. But I mean, I will respect the fact that Oklahoma can't run the ball. Texas's defense is probably going to do a lot. They're going to probably get after Mateer a little bit. But I think because I do think Mateer will play. I think OU wins the game. I saw they win 20-17 on a game-winning field goal by the greatest kicker of all time, Tate Sandell. Yeah, is he a weapon? That's what I wrote in my notes as I was watching the Kent State game. It's like, this dude's booming kick. Like, is he an actual weapon?
Maybe. And then, when you have a defense that good, then yeah. And then it's okay to have like a good. Sometimes you got to settle for a field goal, and your defense is that good. Like I understand that, but yeah, Sandell has been terrific this year, and so is Grayson Miller. And outside of sort of like the heebie-jeebies that Satania has given us fielding punts at times, when he fields it, he's a terrific returner. And so they're like in terms of that, and then also, punt coverage, kickoff coverage, OU has been terrific in that regard as well this season too. So I don't know. Yeah, is this the season where we see OU making a special teams play to turn it? They haven't done that since 2014. Alex Ross had a kickoff return for a touchdown. That was a really big deal. That was kind of the last time I remember something like that happened. I don't know the last time I've seen a punt return for a touchdown in that game. I don't think I really have in the years that I've been watching the game this century. So that would be kind of interesting for sure. I think the last it was the Bert Auburn. I don't think he was the first Texas kicker to miss a kick this century, but it was only the second or third time Texas has missed a kick this century. Last year when Auburn missed a kick. So
I feel like I feel like a Texas kicker has missed a field goal at least a couple of times in the last handful of years. I mean, we've covered it on the show. I probably can find out my notes. But I want to say before Auburn, somebody else missed one too. I mean, I guess technically, in 2020, OU blocked a field goal.
I think
Perry on Winfrey.
Well, yeah, we were saying that was the first time. That was the first time Texas had actually missed a field goal since the early 2000s in the game.
Okay,
I think that's what it was, and then so we'll see. I don't know. I'm not going to make a prediction. My prediction is that either way, emotionally, we are going to feel some sort of way. There's going to be and the game is not going to go how we anticipated at all. And so I'm just kind of trying to, and I'm also, I'm preparing myself at the same time, even though I do think he is going to play. I'm also preparing myself to be at 2:15 on Saturday, be like, what? Hawkins is starting? I'm also preparing myself for that. So
yeah, if that happens, then
they're not going to win the game if Hawkins starts.
I will not. I mean, I don't think many OU fans will expect them to win the game if that happens. I mean, the defense is going to have to pitch a shutout at that point and hope for the best.
We will. All right. So there are other football games happening this week. We will kind of try to blaze through this as quickly as possible. We're already kind of going pretty long here. Lee, I don't know, kind of the interesting SEC games we're going to save for our picks this week. I would say the same goes for our national games as well. So you know what? Let's just move to the picks of the week segment. Lee, got to tell you had a really bad week last week. You went winless. You were 0-5 last week. I went 3-2, so I was able to catch up with you a little bit. You are 19-16 this season. I am now 16-19. All right, let's see. Actually,
what happened? How did Vanderbilt not cover? They playing that Bama close? I didn't see any. Game, so.
Yeah, they played them close, but there was a Pavia fumbled inside the 10-yard line late in the second quarter, and from there, I felt Alabama dominated the game pretty aggressively, so I thought Vanderbilt came to play. Vanderbilt's a good team. Vanderbilt's a really good team, but they're just they weren't ready to go on the road and beat Bama. At least they made far too many mistakes, and they weren't able to get around that. And so there were some other really silly games as well that I think you kind of may have had the right read on, but just the score didn't go your way. You and I were both totally wrong on Texas. That was more of
I had been burned by Florida twice this year, and I didn't want to go for a third time. I should have.
Yeah,
stupid.
So, all right, this is a week where I think I've picked out the 5 games that are really great. Of course, we're not picking OU and Texas, but outside of the top 6 games this week, it's a pretty light week. Not a whole lot of great matchups. So we will start big noon kickoff on Fox. The number one team in the country, Ohio State, rightfully the number one team in the country after what I saw last week. They are a 14.5-point favorite on the road, playing at the 17th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini. Ohio State a 14.5-point favorite. Lee, who you got in this game?
I mean, this kind of reminds me of, well, I'm not sure we picked it last week, but I was way off on Mississippi State, and didn't A&M just run them? And I was wondering why that line was so big.
It was like
but Mississippi State was on the
28-3.
road. But I mean, they want you to take Illinois, and I'm going to. Give me Illinois. I mean, they already did this against USC a couple weeks ago, and now they're catching 14.5. I don't know. I mean, Julian Saint on the road. I guess he's probably playing better, but that's a lot of points. So I'll take Illinois.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The one thing that gives me pause is that Illinois' defense is terrible. A really bad defense.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's really bad. I mean, they gave up 63 points to Illinois. USC averaged like 8 yards per play against them. Like it's not a good defense. I will take Ohio State. I think they are. I honestly think there's probably only a handful of teams in the country that can beat Ohio State. I would stop short of saying that Oklahoma has the best defense in the country. Because what I watched, it's very obviously Ohio State. They have the best defense in the country. And they also have the two, I think they have the two best wide receivers in college football too, that Julian Saint is throwing to. I like Ohio State by a lot in this game. I think I like Ohio State by I would set the line. The personal Grant line to me would be at 23.5 going into this game. I think Ohio State wins this game relatively easily. Okay. Also at 11 a.m. On the rival network, ABC, the 8th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide, they are a road favorite, a 2.5-point favorite over the 14th-ranked Missouri Tigers. Lee, I will start in on this one. I'm going to take Mizzou in this game. I think the very much, and I still think this about Miami, even though I picked them in our pick segment last week, but very similar to Miami. I think the Alabama stock has gotten a little overheated. I think there's a little bit, people are going a little bit too crazy on this. I like Mizzou to win in this game, and what is probably the biggest game Mizzou's program has played in, decade plus. And they're playing well. This is the one thing that I really like about this game. Alabama is 81st in the country in rushing success rate allowed. Missouri, the number one rushing team in college football. Give me the Tigers.
I'm looking on ESPN right now, and it looks like this number is now Bama 3.5.
Okay, well that was as of about 4 p.m. this afternoon, and it is 10:30 right now. So
you're on Missouri, so you're getting a better number then.
I'm on Missouri still.
Okay, I'll take Alabama.
Great handicap.
Missouri hasn't played anybody yet. They haven't played anybody yet. I think Bama's really good. There you go.
2:30 p.m. on CBS. This is probably the game of the week. Your squad, 7th-ranked Indiana Hoosiers, led by Curt Cignetti. They are 7.5-point dogs on the road at Autzen Stadium against the 3rd-ranked Oregon Ducks. Lee, you going to stick with your guy Sig?
Yeah, I mean this seems like they want me to take Indiana, and I will. Give me Sig. You kidding me? Can't go against Curt Cignetti. Although I love both these coaches, man, both of these guys would look so great in Crimson and Cream. Both these head coaches.
I don't disagree with you.
They would look really good. What a fun matchup.
I'm going to take Oregon.
I wish this was not going on the same exact time as OU Texas.
I'm going to take Oregon. This is one of those games where since last year, everyone's just been kind of waiting for the air to come out of the Indiana balloon, and so I'm acknowledging that while I pick Oregon here, but I think Oregon's just a lot more talented, and playing at Autzen Stadium, I think it's just a really tough spot for Indiana. Even though both teams are coming off of a bye, so both teams are have been dedicating a lot of resources to this game. They should be relatively healthy coming in. This has more to do with me I just think Oregon's really, really good. Really, really good. So I'll take the Ducks -7.5. Lee, 6:30 p.m. on ABC primetime college football. 10th ranked Georgia Bulldogs. They are a 3.5-point favorite on the road in the Plains, playing Jackson Arnold and the Auburn Tigers. I hate to do this, but I'm going to take Auburn. I think this is a pretty obvious Auburn spot here.
Why is this number not bigger? That'd be my question. So that's why I'll take Auburn as well. Auburn, I mean, after playing OU and A&M, like Auburn statistically is terrible. Like playing those two games has just dipped all of their raw stats. And so maybe that's what they are. Maybe that's what they are. But this is a weird number. I feel like it should be probably Georgia. I know they're on the road, but I don't know. Maybe like 6 or 6.5, not 3.5. So that kind of tells me maybe I'll go. Yeah, I'll go with Auburn.
I do think you have this is a scenario where you are talking about Auburn. I think Auburn's sort of in a desperate spot here. Whereas with Georgia, a lot of their big games, they still have games against Ole Miss and Texas coming up, but both of those games are between the hedges. Both of those games are at Georgia. So I still think Georgia can drop one and still realistically get to the playoff. Of course, I mean Georgia at 10-2 is going to be in the playoff. Whereas Auburn's not going to be in the playoff, but I think this is almost, you could argue this is Hugh Freeze's last stand here. And so Auburn at night against a Georgia defense that has been relatively mediocre this season. I don't think it's going to be as much of a challenge for Auburn's offense going up against Georgia as it was against OU and Texas A&M, especially up front. I think OU and A&M are much better up front than Georgia is, surprisingly enough. So I think this is from a betting principle standpoint, I think this is a pretty obvious Auburn pick here. Also, here we go, Lee, our last pick of the week, and I think this is an excellent game. This is a game that I am very happy is not going on at the same time as the OU game. 6:30 kick on NBC. Out west, team that OU has already played this season, the 15th ranked Michigan Wolverines, travel to Los Angeles to play your guy Lincoln Riley and his USC Trojans. USC is a 2.5-point favorite. How you feeling about this one?
Yeah, no, I agree. Great game. Excellent game. Fun. Michigan at USC. A couple blue bloods playing. Give me Link. Give me the USC Trojans. Give me USC. Embarrassed last time out on the road. Extra week to prepare. I think offensively, USC will be able to score.
Yeah, I think this is a USC spot. So, hey, this Lincoln Riley team is pretty prototypical Lincoln Riley team. I think USC is, if you had to put a gun to my head, I think USC probably has the best offense in college football. Their defense is pretty meh, but also at the same time is kind of capable of getting a stop every now and then. I think Michigan has a really good defense, but I think in this day and age of college football, good offense beats good defense pretty much 100% of the time, just like it is in the NFL. And I think Bryce Underwood being on the road against, and I'm sure Michigan will put up some points in this game, but if it goes shot for shot, I think going with Jade Maeva and that USC offense is probably the best bet in this situation. Although obviously,
really, sorry.
No, go ahead. I didn't have anything to
say. I was just saying, I mean, USC blew it last year at the Big House. They should have beaten Michigan last year. So, and that's another thing, too. They need to make up for last year's game. So, yeah, I'll lay the 2.5. Have them win by a field goal or more.
All right. Recapping our Week 7 picks. We got Crossfire on Ohio State and Illinois. Ohio State is a 14.5-point favorite. Lee is on the Illini. I am on Ohio State. Alabama versus Mizzou. Alabama is a 3.5-point favorite. Another crossfire. Lee is on the Crimson Tide. Grant is on the Missouri Tigers. Another crossfire. Indiana and Oregon. Oregon's a 7.5-point favorite. Lee is on his guy Sig's team, Indiana. I am with Dan Lanning in Oregon. And then we are both on the same team in these last two. Auburn and Georgia. Georgia's a 3.5-point favorite. Lee and I both on Auburn. Michigan and USC. USC's the 2.5-point favorite. Lee and I both on the Trojans. Well, it's this week is really going long. It's dragging. I'd really prefer Saturday to be here. I want to play this game. I'm ready to go. Lee, got any other final thoughts before we say goodbye to everybody?
Well, the upside to me not being as dialed in as I used to be when I was working in media and just with work and everything. I mean, this week is flying by to me. Tomorrow's already Thursday. It feels like it was just the weekend. So I haven't paid much attention to any of the talk and any of the stuff, and it's great. It's wonderful. I just like football. I just like the game. All the other extra stuff could not care less about. Not interested. It's filler. It's empty calories. So just get me to the game, and then we'll go on to the next game, and we'll keep doing it. I like new games.
Well, thanks for letting us know how you feel, Lee. That's very enlightening. I appreciate it.
Also love that Penn State lost. Yay. I wish I could have watched that game live, but
we didn't even think of we didn't talk about it. I wish we would have talked about that. That was I was watching that game. I had like the perfect setup last. I was over at Jake's house, and we were just kind of at a bunch of TVs going at the same time. And I got to tell you, that UCLA Penn State game, what a delightful college football game that was. Just an absolute, that's something that can only happen in college football, and that's just why it's better than the pros. That game right there. And it just
sure. I mean
that was James Franklin. I mean his tenure at Penn State might as well be over now. And it's just and 2 weeks ago, people were still talking about them maybe winning the national championship this year, and he's done. He's finished there.
That's what you were. Weren't they your pick to win it all?
They were. Yes. They just kind of made in the era of all of the super seniors and everything, and they were the one team that still had quite a bit of them left over. And they returned their quarterback and a lot of guys on both lines of scrimmage, and they are significantly worse than they were a season ago. I guess Tyler Warren, who's now a terrific player for the Indianapolis Colts. I guess he was the best player in college football last season, because he leaves and Penn State is dreadful.
So yeah, I wonder how all those Big Ten pumper-uppers, how they feel about the Big Ten versus the SEC now. I mean, isn't Penn State supposed to be the second or third best team in that conference?
Yeah, but I think as of now, it's pretty clearly Indiana. You can say all that, but I think Ohio State and Oregon are pretty clearly, through the first 5 games played, pretty clearly the 2 best teams in the country through the first 5 games.
So the Big Ten has turned into the old SEC. What you're saying?
Kind of, yes.
Back whenever people would say it was the best conference, but really it was just super top heavy. But actually in the middle and the bottom, it was actually kind of meh. And now the SEC doesn't have the best teams at the top, but 1 through 12, they could beat anybody. Heck, maybe even 1 through 13 if you throw Mississippi State in there.
I think that's about right. Yeah. Funny how that works, huh?
Yeah, a little bit. Heck, UCLA, they could beat anybody now too, apparently.
Did you see any of that? Because you saw Jerry Neuheisel was the interim OC or whatever, and good for him. That's a great story and everything. But all I care about is maybe the weirdest looking guy who has ever existed, Jerry Neuheisel.
Yes, I guess I didn't even think about that, but
okay.
I think it's time for us to. I'm thinking it's time for us to close the show. So we'll be back to talk about whatever happens in OU, Texas, at some point. Until then, for Grant, I am Lee. This is West of Everest. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to the show. And if you want to help us spread the word, please leave us a 5-star review. And also, Tell all of your friends who are OU fans about West of Everest. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and SoundCloud.